Okay, so we're gonna make a stir fry. I have half of an onion here. And if you feed them to your children first, if you put them on the table on their plates and you say to them, the other stuff is coming really soon, but this is all that's ready right now, if they're hungry, they will fight over the last piece of broccoli. I think maybe one of the mistakes that people make with vegetables is they think that they're not allowed to add any sauces or anything, so they just end up making them plain steamed vegetables. And I think the key with children is that firstly you have to get them great vegetables. You have to get the ones that are fresh, that are locally grown or seasonal, and then you have to dress them up a bit. You can put a bit of melted butter on your steamed vegetables or some sauces on your stir fry, because then they have kind of a positive experience with their vegetables. And now I'm switching boards. Apparently, it's hard to get the smell of onion and garlic out of a wooden board, so you don't want to chop your onion and garlic on a wooden board. And now what I'm going to do is cut up any way, any shape, any size. I'm going to cut up my vegetables, and then I'm going to stir fry them with some plum sauce and some soya sauce. In medical school, they taught us never to feed a child anything round like this because it's exactly the size of their windpipe, and if they inhale it, it can block off their air passage. So if you have things that are round, just cut them in half. And the only other thing that I have to tell you about stir fries is that there's a famous chef in the Bay Area called Alice Waters, and she does so much great work with organic foods and getting the school food programs to serve really healthy lunch alternatives to children. They have school gardens and things, and she's done so much work that I think she once made a comment where she said, "We've come so far since the days of the stir fry." So this is obviously I haven't come as far as Alice Waters, but my children still like the stir fry. So I figure while I move forward, I might as well keep the stir fry in my repertoire until they say to me, "Mom, we've come so far since the stir fry." Then I'll stop making it. Okay, so I've got my carrots on one side. I'm going to cut up some cauliflower. You're just trying to separate the little florets in ways that will be attractive and yet bite-sized. Here I've got my broccoli now, and I'm going to cut this up. You can basically just use as many colors as you can find at a local market and stir fry them all together. Mushrooms go nicely in a stir fry. I'm going to put some of this in. And I'm just going to pull the inside part with the seeds out. This is going to add my red. You can use orange ones and yellow ones as well. And the final thing is a little baby zucchini, which cooks quite quickly and adds a nice different kind of crunch to the stir fry. Okay, so that was it. That's all you need to make a stir fry. And look how many vitamins your children are going to get from this as their first course, as their appetizer. Sorry, Alice Waters, you're my hero, but I'm not ready to give up on my stir fry yet, and neither are the kids. It's going to be quite a high heat, like medium high for a stir fry. And again, I'm just going to start with a little bit of olive oil. You can put a splash of sesame oil in if you have it, but you don't have to have 10 different kinds of oil in your cupboard either. It'll taste just as good with olive oil. And there's something else I didn't mention. This is ginger. If you want to add a bit of really Asian flavor to your stir fry, this smells so fresh and nice. And it's easy to use. You just peel the skin off and cut a little chunk, and you can push it through the same kind of press that you would use for garlic. And if you don't have one of these, you can use a little pot and just pound it up or cut it with a knife into small pieces. Okay, be careful that you don't get splattered because hot oil is not fun to have on your skin. And then I'm just gonna move these around until they start to get kind of glassy looking. The nice thing about stir fry is it's got the sweet and the sour and the salty, and it's got so much color. It like hits all of the children's senses at once. I think with a dish like this, if you show the children that you enjoy eating it, that you look forward to not only to making it, but to eating it with them, I think they'll be much more motivated and much more likely to try it. And now we're going to give our carrots a little head start because they take just a tiny bit longer. So we're going to move this over here, and I'm just going to shove my carrots in and give those just a minute or two. And if your pan seems like it's a little bit dry, you can already add a little bit of your soy sauce. I'm using a gluten-free soy sauce, and you can just use a regular one and just add a little bit for a bit of moisture to cook the carrots. You can hear it sizzling away. Okay, now that we've given the carrots a little bit of a head start, we're going to add all of our other colors. I'm getting serious now, 2 spoons. Now we get to add the flavor. This is plum sauce. It's a little bit sweet and a little bit sour, and it's just delicious. What a good smell. And a little bit more soy sauce. So the one last thing I have to say about stir fries, you don't want to overcook them. You want the vegetables to be a little bit crunchy. The kids prefer it that way. And with a smell like this, they'll taste this at least, especially if you give it to them before you put the pasta and the chicken and the other parts of the meal out.
Real Milwaukee, the air is crisp, leaves are falling, and we are all dreaming of apples dripping in caramel.
But let's not forget all the delicious and nutritious fall vegetables that there are out there as well. Registered dietitian Lisa Gredzelanek is back to show us how to use fall vegetables for more than just decoration.
Yeah,
it's true.
And I would say, besides, I'm going to show you the first thing here is carrots. Besides carrots, I really didn't know what to do with these fall vegetables until 2 years ago. So they're actually really easy. And the thing I also want to make before I show you how to prepare these vegetables is they're cheap. So everybody talks about healthy eating being more expensive.
Right.
This bag of organic carrots was $2.
Organic.
For the whole bag.
The whole bag, $2. And then a butternut squash is $1, an acorn squash is $1.
Is it necessary to buy, to look for organic in the squashes?
Not necessarily in the squashes. It's just, to kind of disprove the myth that organic is always more expensive. $2 for a big old bag of carrots.
That's true.
And then when you go to the farmers markets, you get Brussels sprouts on these big old stalks, right? And that big old stalk is like $2 to $3.
I love Brussels
it's
sprouts.
really economical and they're super easy to make. So let's start with a familiar favorite, carrots. And what do we do with carrots? Well, you could take your carrot, and obviously this is a really well-washed carrot, and all you need to do for roasted carrots, which is going to make them very tender and make them sweet, I save a tip. Especially when I buy organic carrots and I wash them well, I don't even peel the skin.
Okay.
All I do is take some olive oil. And you could use butter too, so you could take some softened butter and just smear it over, or you just drizzle really quickly your olive oil. And you got to get your hands in there, but then you take the olive oil and you're just going to smear it on each of your carrots like that, and you put it in the oven at 350 to 400 degrees. In this case with carrots I usually do 400 for 30 minutes.
So we're not adding any salt, no pepper or anything on there?
Yeah, so these carrots right here, I actually had I smeared some butter on them, put them in at 400 degrees, turned them at 15 minutes, left them in for another 15 minutes, and there they are. They're delicious. They're wonderful. So they really become really sweet.
Yes.
And some people like putting a little honey on them, or you could put ginger on them and have ginger carrots, but really I think they're sweet enough just when you roast them.
Okay.
Then we have butternut squash, okay? So when you go to the store, folks, this is what the butternut squash is.
It is true. It's weird, and you're like,
what the heck do I do with that? Okay, so the first thing you do is you cut it off. You cut the neck off of the base, and then you cut this bottom in half. Okay. And what you have is seeds in there. So then you just take a spoon and you scoop those seeds out and you discard it. So now you're left with, something that looks like this. Now what do? Well, you take your peeler and you're just going to peel off the skin. So it's a little bit tougher skin, but
not impossible.
Not impossible. It's done with a peeler. Okay. And so then what you do is you have this all peeled, and you get your little chunks of butternut squash. And all you do is you're just going to slice it. Like you we're cutting up any other type of vegetable, and you get your little diced up butternut squash. I toss those on an aluminum lined baking sheet. Same thing here. Take your olive oil, hit it with the olive oil, rub it all together in there. And I like to put a little bit of pumpkin pie spice or nutmeg on there.
Okay.
Just a little sprinkle for fall, right? You can't goof it up. Don't be afraid. Put this in the oven at 400 degrees. And it's going to take about 25-30 minutes. Just keep an eyeball on it at the end, because if you overcook it, you'll see here on some of my butternut squash, I probably should have took it out 5 minutes earlier. But then you have really nice, well-cooked butternut squash. You know?
I like it with a little...
Yeah, some people like it that way. So that was a half hour at 400 degrees. Done.
Okay.
Then we move on to acorn squash.
That's another scary one.
Yeah, what the heck? And I gotta be honest, I didn't use these till maybe like a year ago, because again, I didn't know what to do with them.
I've only ever made baby food out of those.
Well-
I've never had them as an adult because I don't know what to do with
And
it.
I had a client a year ago who made this awesome acorn squash recipe that I'm going to show you today. So all you do, same thing, you cut this puppy in half. I wash the skin, so I washed it, I cut it in half. Same thing here, there's seeds inside the acorn squash. Take your spoon, scoop those out, discard it. Now you have a really clean inside. Same thing here, you take your olive oil, you smear it on there. Now with acorn squash, savory spices go well. So using some sage, or again, here comes the nutmeg for fall. So I just I put the olive oil on there real lightly, sprinkle sage and nutmeg, then boom, put them on your aluminum foil pan, 400 degrees, 45 minutes. And then the inside here, just on another side dish, I put together some Italian sausage, celery, mushroom, onion. You toss it on the inside, there you go. I put a couple cranberries in there for fall. But you could put whatever you want on the inside, and then this is a whole meal right here.
And it roasts on the inside. And you cover it with foil or anything?
Nope. You actually put them, when you put these on, thanks for bringing up Cassandra, you put them down face down. And you
Can I
roast them.
say also, because in my mind, I'm like, how many dirty dishes are we talking about? But this helps because you peel this off, and this is like takes the place of a bowl. So
Yes.
I'm super excited about
So
that.
I love doing this, roasting. I like doing because it is less dishes. I always use that, and then I don't have to do the pan.
Right.
Last but not least, my favorite vegetable in the last couple of years has become Brussels sprouts. I did not grow up eating Brussels sprouts. I didn't know what they tasted like. I didn't know they grew on a stalk. I mean,
They grew
seriously.
really funky.
They're
I didn't know.
fabulous, though.
So all you do with Brussels sprouts, these are washed Brussels sprouts, and they have a little nub on the end, and you don't want to eat that little nub because it's kind of bitter and tough. That's all you do. You cut off the end. That's all you do. That's all your prep for Brussels sprouts. Notice all these, the prep is like 5 minutes or less. It's super easy.
Right.
Whoops, dropped a little bit. You throw it in a pan. Now what do you do to make those Brussels sprouts shine is, I have a recipe on yourtastylife.com. It'll be linked on Fox 6's website as well. But all you do is I put a 1/4 cup of chicken stock in with so I cut all these up. So I have my whole pan of the Brussels sprouts. You put in your pan, I like to make them with bacon. Everything tastes better with bacon.
It's so true. If you need a gateway to start Brussels sprouts, bacon is it's crazy.
So I cook some bacon and I remove the bacon. And that same pan with all the bacon drippings, you put the Brussels sprouts in. That gives all that flavor.
And then the broth on top
a little
of that.
chicken stock, a little butter, salt and pepper. You cook those puppies for about 8 to 10, 15 minutes, depending on how thick yours are. If you have really big ones like this, you might want to cut them in half. Cool. Okay? And that's it.
Try it.
And this is your plate of roasted vegetables,
so
and it looks
just delicious.
wonderful.
And so again, recipes, check me out on Facebook, Your Tasty Life, go to the website, but super easy, doable things to incorporate fall vegetables.
No excuses.
So healthy, and it's on the cheap. Rob would love this segment.
Yum,
Where's
yum,
Rob?
yum, yum.
Thank you very much. We'll be back.